Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Rachel Klein, and I will be your presenter here for the next 20, maybe 30 minutes. We have a lot of material to discuss today, so we might go a little bit over. But today we're going to be talking about New Year prep steps in donations. So we're going to be looking at a document that I have attached to your GoToWebinar toolbar. So if you look in the handout section on your GoToWebinar toolbar, if you expand that, you will see the 2020 New Year Prep Steps. That is the document that I am using today to teach you guys about different things that you can do to prepare for the new year within the donations module. I also want to point out too, on our website, we have some really beneficial information that also involves New Year Prep. Let me go ahead and pull that up under supporting here at churchwindows.com. Under training and resources, New Year Prep and help. A lot of good information out here. These documents have all been redone and updated for 2020. And then the rest of the webinars for the month of December, we're going to do corresponding webinars to most of the different documents you see, and we're also going to be updating the videos out here as well. So this is really a great tool for everyone right now as we prepare for 2021. So feel free to head out here to the New Year Prep page and see if any of this information would be beneficial to you. I also want to take note that I am recording today's webinar. So you want to rewatch it, share it with someone else. This will be updated here on this New Year Prep page for you to watch by the end of the day today. Okay, Josh is in here with me. A bunch of people registered for this webinar, which is awesome. But he's in here to help answer questions. So on your GoToWebinar toolbar, expand that question section. You are able to type in a question, and Josh or myself will do our best to get an answer for you. As the presenter, I don't even look at the questions till the end of the webinar, but Josh is in here. So if you have something that pops up, feel free to type that in and he will give you a typed response. Or you can wait till after I'm done presenting, and then if I think the question would be helpful or pertain to the other people that have logged in today, I'll read the question aloud and then answer it that way as well. Okay? So let's go ahead and get started. Let me minimize this. And let's open up donations. So the first thing the document goes over is giver numbers. You do not have to use giver numbers. The program does not require you to do so. So if you don't use giver numbers, the next couple minutes here you can watch, but it's probably not going to pertain to you. But what we're going to go over here first is how to end giver numbers for people, whether they've moved away, passed away, left the church for whatever reason, or simply you don't need to have a number assigned to them anymore. We're also going to talk about reassigning a giver number. And then we are going to walk through the auto reassignment process. So if you want to take everybody who has a number, clean out the people who don't need it, and then reorganize, reassign, I'm going to show you how to do that here as the first part of the webinar today. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about stopping the use of a giver number. Really the best screen in donations to manipulate giver numbers is going to be the Manage Numbers screen. Okay, so up here at the top, you're going to go to Givers, and then you are going to click on Manage Numbers here. Okay, this is different than Manage Givers. Manage Givers is still a very useful screen, but if you are working specifically with giver numbers, you're going to want to open up Manage Numbers here. Okay, so this screen is going to show you, as you can see up here, checked current, everyone who currently has a giver number. So a giver number as of today. This is a really great screen that allows you to manipulate the dates, so giver numbers can be in effect for a certain period of time. All right, so number one here, it talks about stopping the use of a giver number. Really, really simple way to stop the use of a giver number. You can choose to end it, meaning you assign an end date, so the person still retains that history of the number and when they had it, or you can choose to delete the giver number. If you choose to delete the giver number, that's going to completely remove the history of when that person had that specific number. It does not remove anything involving giving. Giving is always attached to the name. It's only going to adjust when they had this specific giver number itself, okay? So for me personally, I like to see a history of who had what number and when, so I go with the end date option. So this, for Nina, say we want her number to stop at the end of the year, all we would have to do is click right in this box, type in the date we want that number to end, okay? She still has the history of number 34 for these last several years, but she's no longer going to have number 34 starting in the new year. And now that number is available to assign to someone else a day after, so the first of the new year, okay? If you choose to delete a giver number, very simple to do. Over here on the right, you hit the little minus sign, and then you can choose this option here in the middle, delete giver number 5. This is going to completely remove the number 5 off of Carolyn starting back in 2011. That number will just be gone off of her. There will be no history of her having that number. Okay, so it's really up to you and whether you need to see the history or not for whether you end date or delete. Okay, pretty straightforward. Let's talk about reassigning a giver number. If you decide at the end of the year you just have a couple numbers that you need to move around or change for just a few people, going through one by one and manually reassigning the numbers for people is really going to be your best option, okay? So let's say Jen, we want to give her a new number starting in 2021. Simple enough to do that. You can come up here and hit the Add New button, or you can follow the line over to the right, hit the plus sign. Whichever button you choose, whether it's up here or over here, it's going to open the same screen. You're going to put in what you want that new number to be, and the start date you want that new number to take effect. Once you get the new number in, you know that number is available. It won't let you assign this number 2000 if someone else already has it on this date. It'll warn you. And then you hit OK. And now we see that Jen has an end date of 12/31/2020. And if I come up here and check future, we're going to see that the 2000 number is starting in 2021. Okay, so anybody who just needs a couple little changes to your giver numbers, but for the most part, everyone's number is staying the same, this is going to be the best option for you to manually go through and make your changes. Okay, now let's talk about the auto reassign feature. This is what you are going to use if you want to make a mass change to giver numbers. A lot of people I talk to, they want to go through and weed out the people who've passed away, moved away, no longer need a number. And they want to take those remaining people, maybe add in a couple new members, and then reorganize, reassign. Most people like to do it in alphabetical order, starting at 1 and then working their way through. If that is you, then this next step, the auto reassign, is going to be the best process for you, okay? With the auto reassign, the most important thing you can do to save yourself some headache is before you even open the auto assign numbers screen, is come here into manage numbers and add an end date for anyone who is not going to have a number in 2021, okay? Very important. If they've moved away, passed away, left the church, just no longer need a number in 2021, you need to make sure you come in and end their number for 12/31/2020. That way, the number that they had that they no longer need will be available to you as part of your reassignment for 2021. Okay? Same way I just showed you, you're going to come in here. You're either going to type in an end date so that number is available, so 12/31/2020 end date, or you're going to hit the minus sign and delete the number so it's free. It's freed up for the auto assignment. Okay? That's a really important first step for the auto assign. So let's go up here and open up the auto assign numbers screen up at the top. You're always going to see this message. It's just letting you know you are the only person who is going to be able to have access to auto assign and manage giver numbers while you are working in this. No one else is going to be able to use those functions of the program. So just say okay through that. And the first screen that's going to open is your choose givers. All right, so you have to specify the start date of when you want these new numbers to start. Typically, it's for the following year. So we are going to stick with the date of 1/1/2021. There's also going to be a little note up here at the top saying a backup is recommended. If you're a little leery, maybe not quite comfortable with the auto assignment process yet, make a backup first. Won't hurt anything, takes a matter of moments, and it can be a lifesaver if you accidentally mess up some numbers while trying to do the auto reassign, okay? So I'm going to say okay. And this screen, it's just telling me I have some numbers that are starting after 2021, which I showed you as an example when I reassigned that number in the last screen. So for now, I'm just going to say okay. And my screen's going to unlock. I'm going to see everybody over on the left that is available to use in my reassignment. And whoever I want to use to do my reassignments for 2021, I'm going to move them over to the right side for my givers to be included. Okay? I do want to show you a little trick up here. I can uncheck this box that says include those without number. And then in my list below, it's only going to show me people who currently have a giver number. All right. You also have some options down here for who you want to see or don't want to see. Do you want to include givers whose last number ended on 12/31/2020? I am unchecking this because I went through and I assigned end dates of 12/31/2020 of those people that I don't want to have a number for next year. Okay, so for me, I'm unchecking this box. Most of you are going to want to uncheck this box as well. Okay, so now as you can see over here on the left, I only have people who currently have a number. I'm going to select all, and I'm going to move all of these people over to the right because I want these people as part of my auto reassign for next year. Now, let's say you have some new members, people who currently don't have a giver number, but you want them included in your auto assignment for next year. Come back up to the top and recheck this box to include those without number. And then you can scroll through the list or use this search box up here at the top right and add a couple extra people that you might want to include. Like here's Andrea, we just moved her over. Again, that don't have a number, but we want them to be part of our reassignment. Okay? So once you have everybody over here on the right that you want to use in the auto reassign, you're going to come down to the bottom right and say okay. That's then going to grab all of those people and it's going to then move them over here on the right side of the screen. Right? Now what we're going to do is reassign the numbers for next year. First thing, most importantly, if you want this in alphabetical order, you are going to click this name column header. All right? As you can see, there's a little arrow here now telling me that it is sorted in alphabetical order. All right? I'm going to come down here to the bottom left. I'm going to click select all. It's going to highlight all of my people. I want my new numbers starting with the number 1, which is right here, assign numbers starting with 1, and I'm going to click assign selected. Right? As soon as I click that, you can see now starting at 1, my numbers are growing, okay? Along with being in alphabetical order, I have all of my numbers coming through. And those are going to be my new numbers for 2021. You can see that right here at the top. As long as everything looks good, down here at the bottom right, you're going to hit save and close. And now I have all of my new numbers set up for 2021. All right, an easy way or a quick way to look at this is to come up to manage numbers. Up here in the top right, you can check future. And now you can see here's everybody's new numbers for 2021. And if you want to see this on a report, you want to print this off, right here at the top right, you can hit this list numbers button, and that is going to give you a printout with name and number. Okay? All right, let's keep rolling. Next thing, creating labels with giver numbers. I did do a webinar on this last month. If you want to rewatch it, it is out on our support center. I'm going to go a little quickly over it today, but if you want the more detailed option for this, again, it's out on our website on support center. Just search giver number labels. You'll be able to find it real easy. But I am going to just give you an overview, quick overview. All right. So a lot of people I talk to, they want to make a label that has the giver number on it so they can stick it to an envelope box. Okay. I'm going to walk you through that next. So up here at the top, we're going to go to reports and export, lists and labels, and then labels right here. Most important thing with labels, if you are wanting to print labels with next year's numbers on them, you have to adjust this date range right here. It says use giver numbers current as of. It's always going to default to today's date, but we want to see the numbers for 2021 print out on our labels. So I'm going to click in here and I'm going to adjust my date to 2021. Then I'm going to come up here next to the number 1 and I'm going to hit this Edit People Selection Criteria button. And I am going to remove this checkbox to include those without number. I only want people that have giver numbers, okay? So remove this checkbox. You can also specify a giver number range if you wish. Say only people who have numbers from 100 to 200 actually get an envelope box. Then you could put that giver number range in there if you needed to. All right? I'm going to say OK. Always reference your sort order. Make sure your labels are going to be printing in the order that you want here on the Sort tab in Sort Field 1. Because I redid my labels in alpha and numerical order, whether you have giver number or alphabetical here, it's not going to matter. It's going to be the same sort. And then you're going to hit Next. And that's going to take us on to step 2 here. On step 2, you're going to need to create a label layout if you don't already have one set up that's going to show what people's giver numbers are, okay? So you might already have one set up from years past. If you do, you can hit the down arrow and look through here. Like as you can see, I have one that I've already set up. If you have that, just pick that one and you can print your labels. If you don't have a label layout that's already including the giver number, you're going to have to make a new one. So I'm going to hit New and make sure the label product and product number are what you are using, which this is. I'm going to hit Finish. And then it's going to take me into the designer. Okay, this is where we're going to add that giver number field. First, I'm going to move this down to make a little bit more room for my giver number field to display here. I'm going to come over to the right in my toolbox and I'm looking for membership field, which is here. Click and hold, and I'm going to drag and drop it right here. Now, as soon as you drop that field, the program is going to want you to tell it within that membership field, what field do you want to print? Okay, that's what this window is for. I'm going to scroll down under personal information, choose giver number, say OK. So now I have people's giver numbers will print here, their mailing label and the address will print here. I'm going to do a save as, call it 5160 giver number labels. I always like to include the size of the label I'm using along with what's included on it. That way I know when I go to pick it again next year, because I won't remember, but I'll be able to recognize by the name. Say OK. Once it's saved, I'm going to hit the X to close out of the designer. And now you can see in our label layout field, here's my new label that I created. Under one label per, you're going to go with giving unit for this. And then bottom right, hit print. And again, I know I went through that a little fast, so if that was a little quick for you, head out to the Support Center page. I have a 20-minute video out there on that process alone. So if you want to see it again or you want a little slower, more information, you can check it out there. But here are your labels. Here is everyone who has a giver number in giver number order for labels that you can print out to your 5160 label sheet. All right, so let's close this, and I'm on page 5 if you're following along. We're going to talk about setting up a new campaign. So if you are a pledging church, this is where you will go once you start getting your pledge cards in, how you can set up your campaign and get those pledges entered. All right, so up here at the top, we're going to go accounts and pledges, and then pledges here with the big blue ribbon. You can also use the shortcut here and click this button. First thing it's going to open to is your campaign pledges tab. Any organized pledge drive that your church does, you want to set it up as a campaign. That's really going to help you keep everything organized in one spot, and it's going to give you more flexibility and reporting options when you go to look at the numbers on different reports from donations. Okay, so you have two options for creating a new campaign. You can copy a campaign. So if you have pledgers that typically pledge the same amount or same people typically pledge year to year, you can copy an old campaign, update it, bring it forward for the new year, and then you can still go through individually and update people's pledge amounts if you need to, or remove pledgers if you need to, or you can set up a brand new campaign from scratch. I don't think one option is better than the other. It really just depends on your situation and which option you prefer to do, okay? So let me show you the copy campaign option first. This is really slick. So what you're going to do here, hit the down arrow in this drop box, and you are going to select the campaign that you are wanting to copy. So I'm going to choose 2019 here. Let's say I want to copy this one up to 2020. All right. I know we're a little late here because it's almost 21, but I do want to show you how to copy. Pick the campaign you're wanting to copy. Once it's selected, up here in the top right, you're going to hit Copy Campaign. It's going to give you a message about leap years, just as a little FYI. Say OK to that, and then you're going to put in your new campaign name. So just for example's sake, we're going to call it New Campaign 2020. Is I am copying over from my 2019 campaign. Verify your start date and end dates are what you want, and then you're going to say OK. Simple as that. Now you see up here it says 2020. My date ranges are 2020. Now everyone who pledged in 2019 now has a 2020 pledge entered. Okay, if you find like some of these people are in red, maybe they've passed away and moved away, so they don't actually have a 2020 pledge. If that's the case, you can simply hit the little minus sign here, and you can remove the pledge if you need to. Also, you could make adjustments. Let's say the Bells increased their monthly pledge from 1,000 to 1,500. Simply click in that box, and you can update their pledge. Okay. So that is how you copy. Now, let's say you want to make a campaign completely from scratch. To do that, you're going to come up here to the top and simply hit this little green plus sign. This is your Add New Campaign button. You're going to put in your new campaign name. I'm just going to swap it from 2020 to 2021. I'm going to say OK. And I need to pick my pledge account. When people are pledging to my church, what pledge account do we use? I'm going to choose General Fund. I'm going to update my dates here. And then I'm going to come over to the right and I'm going to hit Add Givers. So as those pledge cards start coming in, this is where you're going to go to enter one. So let's say my first pledger is Nina. I'm going to enter her name. I'm going to specify how much she's pledged. And then I'm going to specify their pledge frequency as well. For Nina, I'm going to leave it on flat, but you do have a lot of different frequency options to choose from. I'm going to go ahead and hit Add Giver to Campaign. Simple as that. Now I have Nina's pledge entered to the campaign. Okay, so then you would enter each pledge card individually, hit Add Giver to Campaign, and then their pledge will pop down at the bottom, building up all the different people that have pledged to your general fund for 2021. Okay, pretty straightforward there. And I also did an in-depth webinar on this too. I think it might have been last month as well. So if you also want a little bit more information, talking a little bit more about each box, head out to the support center and you'll be able to see a little bit more in-depth information there on campaigns and pledges. All right, so the last page, page 6, is talking about handling prepaids, okay? So chances are you might have some people who want to prepay their pledge in 2020 for their 2021 pledge. On page 6, it really gives you a lot of good information in this handout. If you are going to be entering prepaids, I would recommend that you take a moment to really read through this last page. Not only is it going to talk about how to set up donations properly, it's also going to, if you use accounting, it's going to walk you through what you need in accounting and how to set up the links when you're transferring prepaids over to accounting. Okay, so what I want to do first is jump over into the accounting module, and I want to show you one account that you're going to need set up to track prepaids. What we recommend at Church Windows is that whenever someone makes a prepaid donation and that money gets transferred over to accounting, you want that money, instead of going into your regular income account for your pledge account, you want it to go to a liability account, okay? This is going to be a holding tank for you to keep that money in that liability account when you start the new year, okay? So when you create your 2020 year in accounting, that liability account for prepaid pledges is going to hold its balance into the new year. Once you are in your new year in accounting, then you are going to do a transfer, taking the money out of the liability and then putting it into whatever income account you want that money to show as income in 2021, okay? So again, this document will go into that for you, give you a little written explanation on how that works. But the main piece of this is when you do the transfer from donations to accounting for a prepaid gift, you want it to go into a liability account. All right. So with that being said, you're going to have to set up a liability account specifically for prepaids. So to do that in accounting, you're going to go up here to manage accounts, accounts plus minus, and then liability. You would enter it right here, okay? Enter the name and the account number. I already have one created just to save some time. It's called prepaid pledges, all right? So when I transfer my prepaid over, this is the account that's going to be credited. All right, so I'm going to close this. Now that that account is set up, that liability account, I'm going to jump back into donations, and I want to show you where you need to specify that link. So up here at the top under Special Functions, you're going to click on Link to Accounting. Your pledge account has its regular or its default debit and credit accounts. They are both listed here, okay? This prepaid credit account column, this is where you are going to put that liability account that you've set up over in accounting to catch that money that came in as prepaid donations. All right. The program is smart enough to know, which I'll show you here next. When you enter a prepaid, it's not going to go to this regular income account, this credit account you typically use. It's going to automatically put it in that liability account. Okay, that's why it's really important to set up this prepaid credit account if you are going to be taking in prepaids. All right, once that's all set up, let me show you actually how to enter a prepaid through Enter Donations. Click on Enter Donations. I'm going to enter the date I received the prepaid gift. We'll say it's today, the 3rd. I'm going to choose my giver. We're going to use Nina. And I'm going to put in the amount of the prepaid. Let's say it was $1,000. Check, put in your check number. And now this is where it gets a little different. This is where you have to specify the prepaid. So you're not going to choose your typical general fund. What you're going to do is actually scroll down to the bottom of the list. And you are looking for this one. So this is her general fund account, which is the pledge account. But you're choosing the one that has the pledge range for 2021. That's how the program knows it's a prepaid. Donation date's in 2020, but the pledge is for 2021. You're going to hit Done, Add to Batch, and we're going to post it. I mean, you can choose to print it if you want. I'm not going to do that today. And then it's going to take me here to my Transfer to Accounting screen, Once I hit the plus sign here, you can see it's marked as a prepaid, it knows. My debited account is my regular checking account that my pledge income typically goes to, but my credit account's no longer showing my income, ties, and offering. It's showing my liability of prepaid pledges, which is where I want my prepaids to go, and then you're just going to hit the post button. All right, that is everything that I wanted to show you today. I'm sorry, I thought I would go a little bit over, and I sure did.